Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is Friday, the 20th of May, 2022. These are the stories that we'll be talking about during the course of the show. We'll begin, ladies and gentlemen, with the gamut of relationship that exists between Pakistan and the People's Republic of China. How important is China-Pakistan economic corridor for us, for regional prosperity, and also for Pakistan to become more economically stable. At the same time, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif also has underlined the significance of China and Pakistan's foreign policy. He has reaffirmed the government's resolve to further deepen the partnership with Beijing. Let's come with our first segment. Let's start with it, and that concerns the relationship between Pakistan and China. This has been reaffirmed by our Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif Saab and is going to be further strengthened by the visit of Bilawal Bhutto Zardari Saab starting from tomorrow to China. More in the following report.
China and Pakistan have enjoyed close and mutually beneficial relationships since establishment of diplomatic ties in 1951. Both countries remain steadfast diplomatic, strategic and economic allies despite tectonic shifts in geopolitical order. Attempts to sow discord between Pakistan and China remained futile, and Premier Shehbaz Sharif has reaffirmed the government's resolve to further deepen the Pakistan-China all-weather strategic cooperative partnership while talking to a Chinese delegation. The Chinese delegation was led by Chinese External Security Commissioner and underlined the significance of China in Pakistan's foreign policy. Premier Shehbaz Sharif affirmed his government's resolve to fast-track new projects under the transformational China-Pakistan economic corridor. The Chinese delegation appreciated the measures taken by the government of Pakistan and underscored that terrorism is the common enemy of both Pakistan and China, and the two sides shared a firm resolve to eradicate this menace. Pakistan is carrying out thorough investigation of the terrorist attacks and enhancing measures for safety and security of Chinese workers, whereby entire Pakistani nation grieved with the families of the victims and the people of China at the loss of precious lives in Karachi terrorist attack. Relations with China is the cornerstone of Pakistan's foreign policy, enjoying support across the political spectrum.
Now, to discuss this very important relationship, cooperation, friendship, collaboration between the two friendly countries of Islamic Republic of Pakistan and the People's Republic of China, we've been joined by two important guests. Let me introduce them to you one by one. My first guest is Dr. Khaqan Najeeb. He's a senior economist and, of course, a former advisor to the Ministry of Finance. Thank you very much, Khaqan Saab, to have joined us, and of course for your valuable input that you will be giving during the course of the show. Our second guest is Dr. Manzoor Ahmed. He's a political economist. Dr. Saab, thank you very much to have joined us as well. Let's begin with Dr. Khaqan. Dr. Khaqan, China has always been there for Pakistan in times of need, in times of upheavals, in the good and in the bad. So has Pakistan. Now, we've seen a couple of deterrents as far as this relationship is concerned. We've seen what happened in Karachi very recently, and we've seen attempts by certain perpetrators to affect this relationship between the two brotherly countries. Has this relationship been affected in your point of view?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Always a pleasure to be on PTV World, Omar. Thank you for having me. So I think besides security concerns, there are a few other concerns that we also need to talk about and then see an over-encompassing view how the relationship is. There are certain payments that need to be made to the Chinese power plants that have been set up. They are in the ballpark of 300 plus billion. So we need to work on that. As far as security is concerned, it's been an issue, but I think Pakistan has done a lot. It set up a new kind of a security force so that we could look after them. Whereas we...
All right, Dr. Khaqan, I'm really sorry, we have to cut you short. We have to go to a short break. We'll be back right after. Stay tuned. And of course, welcome back to Newsroom. Here we are discussing the ongoing relationship, brotherhood, friendship, collaboration, cooperation between the Islamic Republic of Pakistan and the People's Republic of China. Now, Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has also expressed this commitment during a meeting with the Chinese delegation that was led by China's External Security Commissioner Cheng Guoping. This was a statement that was released by the Prime Minister's office that talked about the significance of China in Pakistan, the significance of Pakistan's foreign policy vis-a-vis China, and the government's resolve to further deepen the partnership with Beijing. Another sign of this deepening of ties with Beijing is the official visit of our Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari Sahab to Beijing starting from tomorrow. He's going there on an official visit. This is going to also be his first official visit to China to further reaffirm these ties. We've been joined by Dr. Khaqan Najeeb, senior economist, former advisor to the Ministry of Finance. Dr. Saab, thank you very much to have rejoined us on Newsroom. Dr. Khaqan, when we talk of China and Pakistan, there are different aspects to the relationship, and this was what you were trying to enumerate before we went on a short break. Would you like to discuss a little bit on the different facets of this relationship and how this can further strengthen with time?
Sure. So if we look at it, this relationship, the CPEC relationship, started in 2015. This was a transformational paradigm shift where we went from a geostrategic partnership to a geo-economic partnership. And the first phase was focused on about 17,000 megawatts of energy. You know, Pakistan was deficient in energy at the time, and infrastructure projects. So that was the idea to begin with. As time has passed, the total quantum of the projects, investment as well as debt, is thought to be $46 billion over the course of this, which will go on for a few years. But I think where we stand today is that we've completed a large part of the infrastructure project, especially the energy that we needed, and now we are looking at energy, especially in terms of the hydel work, with the Azad Patan and the Kohala projects taking center stage. So we've moved beyond the LNG and the imported fuel projects towards this, and that's very important for Pakistan. Green transitioning into energy that is local is extremely important. So that's where we are moving there. That's the right direction to move. Then we are also moving on the infrastructure where Pakistan needs to double up its railway from all the way from Karachi to Peshawar, and that's the ML1 project. But I'm sorry to bring this note that project has been delayed and the financial close has been delayed. So we want to gear this up immediately. This is an important project. And this is what
the Prime Minister has also emphasized on the ML1 project. So of course, I think this is going to be one of the priorities of this current government.
Absolutely, and it should be, Omar, rightly so. Not only does it double the capacity, but it increases the speed. Speed means productivity of logistics, and productivity of logistics means that we can carry from where the produce is done, whether it's agriculture or industrial, all the way to Karachi where it can be exported. So it's like a lifeline for us. Secondly, what I think we should now be thinking about is CPEC 2.0. We've done the first phase, we've done it quite well. I'm personally very fond of CPEC because this is really what FDI is all about. And now we should be looking at FDI. Let me give you a number, for example. All right. There are 9 special economic zones in the country that should work under the CPEC. Only 2 of them are really functional, and the other 2 are in the process of getting functional. So there's a large chunk that we can do there. One of the CPEC SEZ, for example, we've given to China to develop. So that's where we hope that China would now come forward, put their FDI so that foreign investment would increase in Pakistan, industrialization would increase in Pakistan. Let me share another number with you. We are now looking at a number of about 85 million jobs. Let me repeat that number. It's 85 million jobs worth of work that has been saturated in light engineering sectors and is expected to be
But Dr. Khaqan,
relocated.
it's very interesting this number that you're giving, 85 million jobs. How much of a time duration is there before these 85 million jobs, these positions will be taken up by people from Pakistan or maybe people from China?
So, I mean, what you want is to fast track this, right? So that's CPEC 2.0, where now joint working group on agriculture has also been set up, science has been set up, and that's what you want to do, right?
Of course.
So, the other field that I think, besides employment, that Pakistan really needs help from China and is agriculture productivity. You know, I mean, you're looking at a world reset, a global reset. This reset is about more localization. Food is going to be difficult to find. Now we are looking for wheat across the world. The prices have gone up. We are looking for 3 to 4 million tons of wheat we need in the country. This is where China has done very well. Chinese cotton yields are extremely high. They're like 3 times the yields Pakistan has. So that's the area that we should be looking at. So China 2.0 should be about jobs, industrialization, agriculture, and scientific transformation.
All right. Dr. Manzoor Ahmed, political economist, who's also joined us online. Dr. Saab, it's a pleasure to have you on board. Dr. Saab, when we talk about our Premier Shehbaz Sharif, who says that our government's resolve is to further deepen the partnership with Beijing, when we talk of deepening the partnership with Beijing, what are the avenues that can contribute to that? Dr. Manzoor, can you hear us? All right, we'll return to Dr. Khaqan. Najeeb. Dr. Khaqan, I'll pose the same question to you. Shehbaz Sharif Saab, our Premier, says that we are going to further deepen our relationship with China. You talk about the different aspects. You've talked about how the CPEC version 2.0 needs to be fast-tracked so that the different avenues of cooperation could be worked upon. What are the other aspects of bilateral cooperation that could be looked upon beyond CPEC that could deepen this relationship between the two countries, as has been enunciated by our Premier?
So the good thing is that China's friendship with Pakistan is on all political dimensions, as well as our establishment has good ties with them. So across the board, whoever comes into power, our friendship with China has always been solid. Our visits to China have been frequent, our MOUs have been frequent. I think the need now is that this is a country where the government-to-government relationship is extremely strong. I think the need where we can be now thinking is where our businesses can make a strong relationship from China. Our farmers can make a strong relationship with the Chinese farmers. Our science and technology universities, instead of just thinking towards the US, Europe, should start thinking about partnerships with the Chinese universities. And the other area that I think can become very important is, in Pakistan's case, is the transmission sector of our country, whether it's energy of power, electricity, or energy in terms of gas, has very high UFG, which we call, the losses, and that go and cause a loss. So we should be looking at China, how they have resolved these issues, because when these countries were growing, you got to remember that these countries were also going through the same issues. I feel in lifting poverty in people in China, the backbone has been exports, and number two, the backbone has been the agriculture transformation of yields. So now all efforts should be made there, especially in the new world that we are thinking about. Then I must mention Gwadar. The Gwadar Smart City Master Plan now needs to be integrated with the Gwadar Seaport Master Plan. This would make Gwadar what it should be like a Hong Kong or a Dubai, a seaport, a world-class seaport.
Inshallah.
And
Inshallah.
again, Chinese help. And that's what one should be looking at. I mean, we should be the hub of trade where ships would park and go on. And with the connectivity improving from our roads, again, that's what we should be looking
I
at.
think that was
So
what the
this
plan has always been as far as the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is concerned, and that is what was decided in the very beginning when, as you said, the CPEC foundation was laid down. Dr. Manzoor Ahmed, when we talk about Pakistan-China relationship, do you feel that this changing geopolitical scenario is putting pressure on this relationship? And if so, how can both the countries withstand the pressure and still continue to foster their ties?
Thank you very much, Omar. I think the first thing that we need to understand, and that we understand very well, I guess, is that the bond of strong relationship, as mentioned by my seniors and co-panelists, has been very much strong, for the last 6.5 decades. And rather it has been increasing or growing from one extent to another extent. Despite the fact that there has been certain, pressure in the external front and Pakistan's foreign policy, but China was always proven to be always a friend, and that is something that we know. China-Pakistan relationship is multifaceted. There are so many dimensions on which these two countries basically collaborate. But with the outset of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, I think the entire dynamics of this relationship has changed in the very favor of these two countries. Now, no matter what kind of pressure comes from this quarter, China and Pakistan, these two countries stand, and they are very firm to sort of take the CPEC, enterprise ahead. China-Pakistan Economic Corridor is something I think that basically not only changes the economic landscape of Pakistan, but it does change the overall geopolitical or geoeconomic landscape of the region. Because through sort of CPEC, Pakistan is going to provide access to Central Asian republics, to Afghanistan, and CPEC basically provides an access for China to the Middle East, to North Africa and to East Europe. So CPEC, I think, has sort of given a new impetus to this relationship. And that is very much important to see in the lens of geopolitical situation that we see around. I mean, the visit which I just announced of our Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari to China, today's visit that I guess is going to sort of commence from tomorrow or tomorrow, is again very much important. Because the incoming regime, led by Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif, basically is the harbinger of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. And the very first thing that they sort of pledged after coming to power was to renegotiate some of the things which sort of which had been in the sort of back burner.
All right, that's interesting. You talk about renegotiation. Dr. Manzoor Sahib, you talked about renegotiation. Let's revert this question to Dr. Khaqan Najeeb. Renegotiation. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari Sahib is going on a 2-day official visit starting from tomorrow. Hina Rabbani Khar Sahiba is already in China as we speak. Mr. Chen Guoping, who's the Chinese, of course, head of the delegation delegation that met with the Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif Sahib very recently said that terrorism was a common enemy of both Pakistan and China. We all know what happened recently in China, as far as in Karachi, as far as the Chinese are concerned. And there is a resolve from both sides also to eradicate this menace. Can talks further be held for China and Pakistan to collaborate to thwart terrorist elements in Pakistan?
Look, I'm always a believer that economic progress is the best way that people leave other aspects of life which may not be very good for the community. So the more we cooperate with China on economics, the better the lives of the people would be on all sides of the spectrum, and the better the people's lives are when they have a working environment, when they have employment, when they have schooling, things will go away. That's the long term. But in the short run, of course, better intelligence sharing, better protection of the areas where the Chinese are working or where the sensitive projects are, better targeting of the areas where we want to go to will help. So, of course, there is if the security agencies feel in both sides, you need to upgrade some area, maybe more money can be put up. But in the end, it will be the better economics over the course of years that will better everyone's lives and take them away. But, I want to leave your viewers that they should have no doubt about this CPEC. Look, $46 billion over many years, 872 kilometers if ML1 works, it's an about $8 to $9 billion project, 4 urban mass transit projects, 9 special economic zones, potential to shift many million jobs from China in 2.0, and jobs not only related to cotton sector or crop sector, but in light engineering, where Pakistan already has a good base, whether it's the fan industry or other mechanical areas. A new optical fiber connect with China. I mean, these are tremendous FDI opportunities in Pakistan. And we must, as a nation, stand behind this and move forward. But my request to China is that it's time that they do investment rather than sharing with Pakistan. Pakistan's debt is high. Pakistan's paying capacity has been eroded, and now what we need is investment in Pakistan, which can
All
create
right.
real.
Last question to the both of you, Dr. Khaqan Najeeb and Dr. Manzoor Ahmed. The statement that has emanated from the Foreign Office talks about the visit of Bilawal Bhutto Zardari Saab to Beijing, and it states 3 very important points that are going to be discussed during the visit. A, further fortifying the all-weather strategic cooperative partnership between both the countries. B, enhance and deepen CPEC-related engagement that we've talked to the both of you. And C, help in identifying new avenues for bilateral cooperation to the benefit of the two countries and peoples. All right, this is my question to the both of you, starting with you, Dr. Manzoor. What are the new avenues for bilateral cooperation that can benefit both Pakistan and China?
Well, thank you very much again. I think there has to be again seen in the lens of China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. We need to keep in our mind that the CPEC's first phase was supposed to be completed by 2018. There are certain projects which are complete, and there are certain projects in which the work basically is in progress. But the second phase basically is very much important. I think that relates to a special economic zone establishment. And that was supposed to usher in a process of reindustrialization. I'm reiterating the term reindustrialization in Pakistan. And that was supposed to sort of create 700,000 jobs in all those special economic zones and related economic activities. So one of the things that I would like Bilawal Bhutto Zardari to sort of emphasize upon is to take Chinese sort of assistance of establishing or reinvigorating the special economic zones, which are 4 at this point of time in the initial stage, but as Najeeb Saab mentioned, that 9 was supposed to be established in the first phase. So even if there are 4 special economic zones established across the country, that will change the overall economic landscape.
All
Another
right.
avenue that I would like, again, the foreign minister to take on is the socio-economic development, dimension. There is something which is missing in our overall CPEC framework. And there are many sort of things in which China can help Pakistan in terms of socio-economic development, for example, education, cooperation in science and technology, establishing hospitals as it is doing in Gaza right now, enabling overall tertiary education system. These are things in which China can help Pakistan. And one thing more, I think, is again crucial for Pakistan, in which Pakistan can take Chinese assistance, is in the agriculture sector. Agriculture is very much important for our economy, and that is not in a good shape right now. And China has worked a lot in terms of its value addition in the agriculture sector, and that is the area in which, again, Bilawal Bhutto Zardari would take Chinese sort of assistance.
All right.
I think shifting the focus from geopolitics towards geoeconomics overall is something that Bilawal Bhutto Zardari got to do with the Chinese sort of officials and counterparts.
All right. Dr. Khaqan, what would you like to add to that? What are the new avenues that could add to the bilateral cooperation between both the countries, and how can we further fortify this strategic cooperative relationship between Pakistan and China?
So I'll take your second part of the question first. How can we fortify? To fortify, I think we need to ally their concerns. For example, the concerns on the payments that are due to the Chinese power sector, concern of a closure of the ML1. And then we should expedite, both sides should find avenues how we can expedite the ongoing work on the on the special economic zones. And moving forward, we should also think about cooperation of businesses and how that could work. I mean, it's fine that the government-to-government commitments over many decades has been just exemplary. But what we want to now move on to is that our businesses are able to learn, our SMEs are able to learn. How did a Chinese SME grow into a multinational company listed on the stock exchanges of the world? And that's the transformation. Of course, agriculture transformation is something that they should help us with. And lastly, I must also say that we are now looking at IT and ITES as an area, and that should be put on the agenda as well.
All right. Thank you very much to both of my guests, Dr. Khaqan Najeeb, senior economist, and Dr. Manzoor Ahmed, political economist, who have joined us and to have talked to us about China-Pakistan all-weather strategic relationship that has only strengthened with time, and of course it's going to further strengthen in this new government with the visit now of the Foreign Minister Bilawal Bhutto Zardari starting from tomorrow. And we should also remind our audience that this is the 71st anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between the two friendly countries. On that note, we end today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah on Monday with news stories and segments that pertain to you, us and Pakistan. Stay safe, have a great weekend, follow the SOPs. Allah Hafiz.